Welcome to DEGEN News. My name is Jorge. Last week, we had a lot of crazy stuff happen in the crypto space. Acala USD depegged. We saw tornado.cash get sanctioned, and Canada passed some weird new laws. This and more on DEGEN News. Let's dive into it. Ontario crypto exchanges impose a 30,000 Canadian dollar annual buy limit on altcoins. So this information comes from two crypto exchanges, Newton and BitBuy, which are the two crypto exchanges from the Ontario area. It also comes out as the Newton exchange receives a license as a restricted dealer of cryptocurrencies by the OSC, or the Ontario Securities Commission. They also went out of their way to clarify a couple more things about this law. For starters, there is no buy limit on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. They also further clarified that this $30,000 limit, which goes into every other altcoin, will reset every year. So what I would assume that means is if you hold 30,000 Canadian dollars of other restricted cryptocurrencies, next year, assuming you're still holding those, you get another 30,000 that you can start spending. Now, say you sell that cryptocurrency in that short time span, well, then you'll simply get the amount that you spent back into your limit. I'm not sure if that includes profits or not, so I'm sure more will come out in the near future. Now, it's also important to mention that these laws will mostly affect non-accredited investors. According to this, it says anyone that is considered an accredited investor can invest over 100,000 Canadian dollars in restricted crypto assets, as well as possibly not have any purchase limit at all. So it's unfortunate that this will be very exclusionary for just the average Canadian person, I would assume. Furthermore, these laws will be enforced in Manitoba, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Labrador, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Northwest Territories, Nunavut, and Yukon. Sorry, Canadians, forgive me. So these laws are coming into effect as the government begins to focus on creating their own central bank digital currency. And this is likely a part of reducing competition between the altcoins and the central bank digital currencies that are going to be not just released by Canada, but several other governments. I personally think they're a crazy totalitarian tool, but that's just my opinion. And my heart goes out to the Canadians, especially the Canadians in the crypto space, who just buy cryptocurrency, whether it's to make money or just use them. But with that being said, we'll see what the outcomes are from this law. The Acala stablecoin, AUSD, collapsed by 99% after a hacker found a way to mint 1.3 billion tokens. Now, this was a bug discovered on their new IBTC AUSD liquidity pool. Now, fortunately for Acala, once this hack happened, they quickly realized and found the bug, and it was within the transfer functionality of the smart contract, or the liquidity pool, which was then disabled. Now, according to Acala's Twitter account, it seems that the hacker has returned these erroneously minted stablecoins. Now, the community has actually agreed to burn all of these excess USD stablecoins in order to get the price back to peg. And if we actually look at the price chart, it looks like they, for the most part, are kind of getting close to achieving that goal. At one point, it did just get to about $1. But however, the journey of 1,000 miles typically starts with just one step. The Acala team noted that they are currently using or working with tracing in order to find 16 other wallet addresses that seem to have also exploited this bug in the IBTC AUSD pool. So this may not be the end of the hacking story, and as more develops, I will do my best to keep you all informed. Now, with that, all that being said, I think something that's important to understand is that not all stablecoins are created equally, but I think, with a lot of the risk that's been going on in this volatile market, if you are going to have stablecoins, consider being diversified in several, or maybe just sticking with, the ones that are really famous, like USDC, USDT, BUSD, Paxos Dollar, etc. So just keep this stuff in mind. This isn't financial advice, but it's been a little risky out there, so just consider being a little more cautious. We are excited to announce our partnership with MEXC Global. MEXC Global is one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world with a huge array of products. If you sign up for an account using our affiliate link, make a deposit and start trading, you have the opportunity to win $4,100. If you're not familiar with MEXC Global, they offer a huge array of different products, including but not limited to spot trading, options trading, ETFs, and even the ability to copy the world's greatest traders. If you find all that interesting, then what are you waiting for? Sign up with our link below. We greatly appreciate it, and it helps support the channel, and we appreciate MEXC Global for giving us this affiliate link. And now back to our scheduled programming. The US Department of the Treasury has sanctioned Tornado.cash. This is a huge deal because now American users can no longer use Tornado.cash. They cite that the Lazarus Group has hacked over $455 million worth of funds, or at least laundered it. If you're not familiar with the Lazarus Group, they're the hackers or people that are moving cryptocurrency to North Korea. They also make note of the Harmony Horizon bridge hack, which took over $96 million from that particular hack, and $7.8 million at least from the Nomad bridge hack that has been laundered through the platform. Furthermore, the Dutch government has taken matters into their own hands and has arrested a supposed contributor or developer of Tornado.cash. And this is actually quite problematic for a few reasons. For those of you watching who aren't familiar with Tornado.cash, it's essentially a cryptocurrency mixer. This means that it obfuscates transactions. In other words, you won't know which wallets are transacting the cryptocurrency in question. And this is important for privacy reasons. Now, understandably, it's important to know that Tornado.cash is just an open piece of software and a tool for people to use. You know, we don't make knives illegal because people go out stabbing other people with them. We don't make guns illegal because people can rob banks with them. We don't make highways illegal because criminals drive on them. All these things are, for the most part, tools that can be used for good or for bad. And unfortunately, in the case of Tornado.cash, hackers have used it as a tool to move cryptocurrency that they've stolen or to launder funds from one wallet to the next. But it's also important to understand that not all users of Tornado.cash were using it for illicit purposes. According to Chainalysis, actually only 10% of the funds that flowed through Tornado.cash were stolen funds. You may note that actually on here, there's 17% that were sanctioned entities using Tornado.cash. Though what's quite interesting is that they actually note in the highlighted region that the sanctioned entities were actually not sanctioned until recently. So what we can surmise from this pie chart here that Chainalysis has so graciously made is that the vast majority of people who were using this technology were just using it to leverage the technology's privacy. And you might be asking yourself, well, if you have nothing to hide, then why would you need to use this? And there's actually a lot of reasons. In cryptocurrency in particular, everything is on an open ledger, which means if people can find your transaction, they can also find the wallet from whence it came, and they could potentially connect it to who you are, which could put yourself in danger. So some people might just want to have privacy so people don't know which wallet belongs to them. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's also important to note that there's people that maybe want to donate to entities that maybe the government might not be so fond of, whether, you know, it could be a journalist or a political campaign or something like that. It's also important to know that some people choose to be paid in cryptocurrency. And although that is a small amount of people, you know, if you're getting paid in cryptocurrency, essentially the wallet is visible to your employer, and your employer would know how you're using or spending those funds. So with that in mind, there's a lot of very simple reasons why people would want to leverage privacy. It's also important to note that this has been an ongoing battle, not just in crypto, but against cryptography in general. Now, the government has been after cryptography for a really long time. Now, you might just know the term crypto for cryptocurrency, but it's sort of like the love child that came from cryptography. Essentially, cryptography is the engineering science of having an intended message sent to an intended recipient in a private manner. Now, what that means is that simply it's technology to make sure information goes from point A to point B, and that only the two people involved in that particular data set are going to be the people who view that information. If we go back to 1991, Phil Zimmermann, a genius computer scientist, came up with an encryption software called PGP, Pretty Good Privacy. And at the time, the US Justice Department saw this cryptography and equated it to munitions. And what's even crazier about this is that meant that Phil having this information leave the United States in any way could be seen as sending weapons to another country. Now, the FBI would investigate for 3 years, and Phil did everything he could to defend himself and prove his case. And interestingly, around that time, there were essays coming out like Freedom of Speech in Software and other cryptographers that were actually taking their information in cryptography and actually just making it public. Now, why would they do that? And it was because they realized that if they were publishing this information, that it would be free speech. And that's what essentially coding is. It's a set of languages and seen as speech. And so Phil Zimmermann approached MIT in order to get his code sent out to Europe and eventually other places in the world. And at that point, the US Justice Department would drop their case. Now, what's really important about PGP, if you're not familiar, it's actually the encryption software that is used for almost every single email that is sent around the world. So just take that in for a second. That was the technology that helped enable email as you know it today. So having privacy or cryptography is extremely important, and it's something that we need to continue celebrating and protecting. We now jump to 1997, where the most important court case for software ever occurred. Well, one of them anyways. So with that being said, this was Bernstein versus the United States. Now, this was a heavily litigated case that went on for quite a while. In it, Bernstein had actually created an encryption software called Snuffles, and the United States government actually argued that this was against the international traffic in arms regulations, equating the encryption itself to exporting arms. Now, Bernstein fought this to the nail in court, and in order to get this information published, and this was when the judge actually deemed that the software in question, or the publication of software, is protected by the First Amendment. That's right. Software and code is considered speech. Now, I'm not a legal expert, but I would assume that with all of these goings and awnings with Tornado.cash, we could be seeing a court battle like no other coming soon. And who knows what the outcome would be, though it seems to me that there is a strong case that Tornado.cash may just be seen as code, another method of encryption, i.e. just making sure that the transaction between one wallet to another can only be viewed by the sender and the recipient. We will see. In fact, Amnesty International, which is an organization that is constantly fighting for human rights, actually made a 41-page summary all on the subject of encryption and how it is a matter of human rights. And I just wanted to read some quotes off of it for you. Encryption is an essential means of protecting our personal information. While there are different types of encryption, they all aim to achieve the same thing, to ensure that the information can only be accessed by its owner and its recipient. They also stated here, states have obligations under international law to respect, protect, and fulfill the right to privacy of their populations. In the digital age, these obligations mean that states should ensure the security of online communications, including by raising awareness of internet security issues, encouraging the identification and repair of security weaknesses in computer networks and systems, and facilitating the use of encryption tools and services. So suffice to say, this is an incredibly important battle, and crypto happens to be a part of it. And I, for one, think that this matter will hopefully lead to a world where privacy is a human right. And in this case, Tornado.cash is just open software that anybody can use, and there are bad people that are going to use it. And I don't think that creating these sanctions is really going to stop a criminal from doing something that, well, is criminal. However, we're essentially sanctioning this tool from people because there's a small amount of bad people using this software. And furthermore, arresting someone for essentially creating a software that, by the way, there was nothing saying that this was an illegal thing to do, is, at least at that time, means that we're arresting someone for doing something that they didn't think was criminal in the past. And that is setting a massive precedent that could really be harmful and could degrade human rights across the world. Now, I want to make clear that I'm not advocating for criminals, criminal activity, or for criminals to use any virtual currency mixer. What I'm trying to say here is that the actions of a few bad actors are removing the human rights of many just normal, good people. And I think that that's incredibly unfair. I hope that any criminal is prosecuted, apprehended, and brought to justice, but not at the cost of our own human rights. And I hope that maybe this section of the video educated you a little bit about privacy. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe below and hit the bell notification so that way you can be kept up to date with all of our videos. If you want to keep following us on other social media channels, consider following our Instagram, LinkedIn, and of course our Twitter. And if you'd like to support us even further, you can use our affiliate link with MEXC to sign up so you can start trading or using any of their other services within the crypto space. It helps support us, and chances are you might win $4,100. Only one way to find out. And if you don't sign up with it, that's cool. We greatly appreciate it. And if you think this information could be valuable for someone else, feel free to share it as well. Anyways, thank you so much, and DEGEN safely.